Is that the agenda? Agenda and minutes too. Minutes. Sorry, would you like? You can take a minute. All right, you are good to go whenever.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's call the meeting to order, 6:02. Okay, taking attendance, Emily, Kevin, Helen, Anita, Brianna, with Ted being excused. And no visitors, no guests, and Julie, no one. Oh, I thought Michelle said she could go.
She said you can come at 5.
Oh. Okay. All right, so any modifications to the agenda?
I would like to give you an update on my conversation with Chief Tinty about noise ordinances. Is that already on here? Sorry.
Should be A1 for A1.
Oh, right.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. I think.
So, and modifications to the agenda, that was done. Approval of the February meeting minutes. There was in number 3, the Kingston Land Trust, there was a unfinished sentence.
Oh,
So I had changed it.
okay.
So it says Kingston Land Trust will be, and then it ends, the 3 laws are adopted. So I think you meant the Kingston Land Trust will take the lead on outreach.
Yeah,
And then I just took the next 2 sentences and made them into one,
Okay.
just saying
yeah, that's all good.
to go to referendum. And then, so I went through that, and then there was some kind of small,
With,
I got a width at the
there's a
bottom.
with
Yeah.
someplace here.
yeah,
Reading number 6.
Pace.
Please discussed with a list of tasks. Second line.
yeah, there might have been something that was a word, but it was the wrong word. Kind of like written with, so I don't remember.
Seems like a reads up there. We have to win.
So that was, you can see what else, so, in the thing I sent out, the corrections, there was anything. All right, so, who wants to approve make a motion to approve the February meeting minutes as corrected? All right, Anita. Brianna, can you second it?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so old business. Oh, we have to vote. I'm sorry. Okay, vote. All in favor? Okay. Sorry, I go to different meetings that have different rules. Okay, so you're up
Right.
for the lawnmower.
Thank you. So I met with Chief Tinty back in, gosh, I think it was February. And asked, I sort of put the proposition to him that, we found the sweet spot where, decibels of gas powered lawn equipment is higher than electric, and how would you feel about enforcing an altered noise ordinance, and he said that basically they only, first of all, that the officers need special training to use the noise meters in the first place, and that they really only respond to complaints. They're not going around looking for people who are being too noisy. He also pointed out that quite a lot of City of Kingston police officers run their own care businesses, so need to be aware of that. He thought that it would be better to take the carrot approach. Because I mean, even if we ban sales of gas-powered lawn equipment within the City of Kingston, people could just go to the mall or across the river or whatever and go. So he was what we discussed was maybe first of all maybe getting an article in the Freeman about how much better electric equipment is, and he would be willing to be interviewed for that. He certainly favours the electric option, and he also thought that that some of the manufacturers might be interested in doing a promotion, perhaps in conjunction with Herzog's or Home Depot or Lowe's, maybe offer some sort of coupon to encourage people to switch over, and have maybe free Department of Public Works pickup of old equipment. And then another one that they've done, obviously, with comparing to the gun buyback program, that we might institute a city program of giving people money for gas-powered lawn equipment, vehicles, whatever. So I confess that I then went off on vacation and hadn't done anything about that, but I do have a background in PR, so I'm definitely going to pursue the thing with Freeman, and I'm going to contact Husqvarna or some of the other major manufacturers and see if they would be interested. So that's where we are with that.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I think in terms of the old equipments, probably they would just sell it to someone else or give them away first, which, because it is kind of hard to kind of trash something that works,
Sure.
but they wouldn't, it would be, it's kind of like, converting the gas guzzlers, right? It's a much smaller scale.
Right.
What do you do with the gas guzzlers?
Well, we did have that government buyback scheme for a while.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And then as soon as the price of gas went down, everybody wanted SUVs again. So.
right, and they want to go 70 miles an hour on the freeway too. So, okay, well, thank you. That's good.
It would be good if you are gonna do something in the Freeman, to tie it with something like either do it during Earth Week, or
Yeah,
do it with an incentive, or do it with something else, and it'll be more than just educational.
Right.
Or like,
sure.
try to convince Herzog's to give people a discount if they bring their old one back in, or.
Right.
Yeah.
What would be the protocol for getting a city buyback program? Do you know?
You have to get funding from something.
Yeah,
We have it this year's budget.
Right.
You have to get a grant or get sponsorship.
It's not being around possibility.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things it is even having someone like Husqvarna be at one of the, I'm sorry, or I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, they're May 13th.
Yeah.
When is it?
it?
May 13th.
Oh, it's May 13th. Okay, so I thought I was not going to be around, but
Yeah, you could definitely tie it into Earth Fair or something.
That's a great idea.
and
Thank
can
you.
get, because a lot of times there's definitely been, EV shows, car shows. but,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Super. Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Any other suggestions? So all good, thank you.
Any volunteers to help her?
I think, no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anything going on with water quality? Wait, let me go back. Is there anything on air quality? Like the monitoring equipment or anything? Okay.
Still monitoring.
And the water quality, nothing on septic? And not non-toxic landscape maintenance? Let me see.
Do you want me to be removing these from the agenda?
Probably. Did this pass then or not?
Yes, it passed.
Okay.
So the only reason it would be on this committee is if you wanted to do education about it,
Okay.
or if something were to come, I mean, I could put it back on the agenda if something comes up where they need a waiver, since you are the advisory body on it.
Do you think we're gonna have any call for getting a waiver?
Nope.
Okay,
So I'll put it on as that's appropriate.
yeah. Open space planning. Community preservation plan.
So I did have a discussion with Ted, this week. We are currently on hold with the community preservation plan. At the recommendation of, the administration. The Common Council has a lot before them right now with zoning and Stony Run and other things that are consuming their bandwidth. And we want to make sure that this is successful when we push it through, so it is at least temporarily on hold. But I did speak with Ted, and the land trust is still pursuing polling to understand everyone's, thoughts in the community. But it's likely that the polling will actually be broader, so maybe they're trying to figure out like what else could be included in the polling, because when you're going out and doing a citywide outreach, it's just oftentimes good to be like, well, while I have you,
Yes.
let me also ask you about this. So that's still in the works.
So just to be clear, you talked to Ted because he works with the land trust. And you talked to him in regards to that,
Yes.
in that role.
Yes.
And then so do we have any idea of if this is gonna happen by November? Or does it look more like it's gonna move to another year?
If I had to make a call right now, I would say it would probably be another year. But I don't know how things will change. Either way, the drop dead deadline for getting the local laws passed is August 4th. So there is a timeline of like, if we stay on the standard timeline of the existing laws and rules meetings, it would need to be submitted by April 28th to advance from there. There could certainly be special meetings, but there is some concern that with an election year, with all the aldermen and mayor, that the introduction of a tax is not going to be popular. And it also could be considered a wedge issue. So,
A wedge issue, is that what you said?
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
right now I've been told to pause.
I thought that that was why it was on the agenda actually, or on the election. But I can definitely see all that. I would say in terms of other questions, I know, anyway, I would like to kind of move forward on more pollinator gardens and understanding that. So the question could be more, are they aware of what a pollinator garden is? Have they ever thought about using their own yard or, you know, if they don't own their own property, some other thing. Because the other interest right now, as you can see, is short-term rentals, parking, and affordable housing. And I think, I do agree that if you're gonna pull, that you don't wanna, you know, people will be confused about the rezoning and this
Right.
also.
Yeah.
And, but I would like to see how we could be more involved in pollinator gardens, because usually we don't do stuff, but maybe we could be more involved with the tree commission or the land trust, or another one just came up, you know, in my head. Oh, Foresight Nature, someone, you know, who else could, or CC or something, but, you know, who else could take on a pollinator garden effort besides us, or just another group that, and just native trees and et cetera also. So I would like, in terms of a polling thing, does anyone else have any idea about polling or the land trust?
Yeah, the discussion I had with Ted also involves Trust for Public Land and Scenic Hudson. So what they were doing was, I think they were suggesting to postpone the polling, because if you take the polling now, and the referendum isn't until 2024, you've got some outdated polling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they were, Ted wanted to move ahead with polling, just do it, and get, you know, check it off the list, so to speak, but no, I don't think that may not be what happens.
Yeah.
Well, we could
The-
still
the
put
other
in
people
some other
involved-
questions in the polling. So even in a year, so we can think about that.
Could we do some other things in terms of just educating the public about pollinator gardens? I'm about to put one in, as soon as our excavation's done.
Yeah,
Somebody wants to take it on?
Yeah.
See if you can do anything, really.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have any money, but, yeah,
Is there likely to be something at the Earth Fair where people are giving out seeds and advice?
There's going to be people giving out saplings, tree saplings. Nothing yet about seeds.
Just wondering if that would be an opportunity to have a booth, because the seeds are not super expensive.
Definitely the CAC could have a table and give out seeds.
Say again?
CAC could have a table and give out seeds.
I think that would be kind of cool. And
the other,
I'd be happy to volunteer.
um,
And I'd also be happy to buy a bunch of seeds as well as a contribution.
the other type of outreach is to plant one. And so I just got an email from the EMC about that in Cohasset. And they are having a big, so if someone wants to go and see what they are doing, there are some, anyway, and I feel like Woodstock has, I feel like Woodstock has a really good pollinator program. They're trying to get people just to do 10 by 10 gardens. you know, anywhere they can, in everyone's yard.
Do you know who's running that?
I don't know, but I get the emails. So,
Well, you know, the Y
right,
had kids putting in pollinator gardens
Mhm.
about the time I moved here. Because which was spring of 21. And I went to the grand opening for one. They had done a really nice job with it.
and do you remember where it was?
Yeah, it's
by the school on
yeah, down near the green.
JFK. On Green.
That could be,
I think I was a part of that, but I just can't remember where it was, but it's in front of like a school.
yeah.
I think it's JFK, I think.
JFK on Delaware Avenue though.
Okay, yeah, that's probably the one yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
that
kind of
could have
owned by the
been it.
Strand almost.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll just pass this around.
and SUNY,
Go ahead. Yeah.
SUNY was involved. SUNY New Paltz was involved, I think. Because I showed up with a box full of native bees
Oh my God.
and showed it to the kids.
Uh-huh.
Oh, cool.
And parents that were there, you know. But they had done a very nice job. They really had. So maybe I can follow up on that.
Okay.
See
Okay.
who was involved. I was so new to Kingston that none of it sticks very well.
It was mostly the YMCA farm project, and then we had like 2 other people that were helping us, and they do like bee stuff too.
Yeah.
And like one is like an architect, I think, she does like design and stuff.
Oh, is that,
Kareem?
Corinne?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kareem?
yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to Kareem.
Okay, so this is the one in Kerhonkson. It's on Earth Day, Saturday, April 22nd. And they are planting, and they're having a local butterfly authority and legend, Maureen Manos Jones.
Yeah, we're working with her.
So anyway, if you don't touch anything, you might be able.
Oh,
Keep
can
it
you
on
send, can you send this to me?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, thank you. I'll just forward.
What in technology?
That was April what?
April 22nd, it's a Saturday at 1 o'clock. Kerhonkson is on the way to Ellenville.
Okay,
And that's why I got confused about Kingston, because the Earth Day is April 22nd. Okay, so, well, that's great, that's very exciting. Okay. Is there a pollinator garden at the community garden that's near Roundup Gardens? I don't know, yeah, I don't know.
Well, the sanctuary is near there. Forest sanctuary,
What?
the forest sanctuary, you can.
Oh, yeah.
Like 2 minutes from one to the other by the JFK.
Yeah, that's very, it's kind of shaded. Right.
The
I always think
sanctuary
of
is,
it-
but not the garden. Garden gets.
Oh, yeah, no, I know,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing, like, a lot of the plantings that got put in on the green line are pollinator, are definitely pollinator. So. Okay, all right, next.
I just had another open space planning update, which is not on here, but, so the city regularly takes houses, that are being, where people aren't paying their taxes anymore, so we take possession of homes. And depending on what, or not necessarily homes, but parcels. And so we've created a disposition policy, but as part of that, we have been reviewing the parcels based on their value. My role is we're reviewing the parcels based on their conservation value. So most recently, within the last month, there's been 56 parcels for review. And basically, we're giving them one of like 4 designations. It's either save it for municipal use, so, you know, a park or a well, no, I guess not a park, but municipal use, in the municipal use category, it would be like building or material storage or vehicle storage or something like that. There's a designation of, dispose, as in sell, try to sell it. There's a designation for keep it for, make it into affordable housing, and then there's a designation for open space or green space. And so there's a number of parcels, particularly along, a concentration of them along Wilbur Avenue and South Wall, that we're going to be taking off the tax rolls and preserving as open space.
Oh my God.
And there's a couple others that I recommended that are in discussion right now that are basically on the fringes of larger tracts of land. So for instance, on the fringes of the parcels that are the business park, there's a couple parcels along the fringes of that are in the neighborhoods, but they're on the fringe, so I've advocated for those as open space. There's a couple parcels along West O'Reilly that I've advocated for. It's a multi-departmental decision, so it's not just, I know the department is unilaterally making a decision. And so either way, it could, certainly will be the case that as part of this disposition policy, that there's going to be several acres of city land that we are going to be designated permanently as open space. And so there's also, within open space, there's a designation of whether it's like parkland as in active parkland, like needs a parking lot or needs a garbage can or needs a piece of, amenity versus land conservation where we aren't actively using it. But like we're not mowing anything, we're not, doing any, like there's no amenities there, there's no bathroom, but it would be not buildable. So I'll keep folks posted when the list is final, and then we'll be able to add that to our acreage.
Oh, my goodness.
That's fantastic.
And so do all the parcels have houses on or some kind of structure? No.
No,
So that's,
all the parcels that I'm advocating for, none of the parcels that I'm
Right.
advocating for have structures on them. And my lens is like a couple lenses. One is it identified in the open space plan as a priority? Is it identified in the community preservation plan as a priority? And does it have a structure on it? If it already has a structure on it and it's in the middle of town, or if it's just in the middle of town, it should be infill development. It should be developed. It should be
Yeah.
redeveloped as a home. But then there's other things where, like, the topography of it. So for instance, there's one that's called like Hurley Avenue Rear. And I don't know the number, but it's this swath of land that's linear between the thruway and Fairview Avenue. But it's technically a Hurley Avenue address,
14 acres.
and it's 14 acres. And it's not buildable in my opinion, nobody would want to build next to the thruway. So I advocated for that.
Somebody did come to Suzanne with a plan, but the plan years ago, the planning department turned them away.
Yeah,
They bought a house on Fairview to use it as, for the sole purpose of using it as a driveway to new developments back there.
oh, interesting.
And they were just like, wrong.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. The actual easiest way to get in is to go into the town of Ulster, go to the Spring Lake Mobile Park
Yeah,
and swing around on a dirt road.
yeah, I've never been to the parcel, but.
Yeah.
how wide is it? It's wide enough to get housing on?
Yeah, but your backyard is, I mean, the thruway has an embankment and it's just,
Oh, so you're below the thruway.
No, oh, is it?
The house is below the.
yeah,
thruway.
you're a little bit below it.
All right, well.
Yeah, it's just-
Suzanne sent them packing, it was just, no.
Because when I drove up on the thruway outside of Albany somewhere, there's all these houses lined up. But they're on the same level. But I did notice the newer houses, they're starting to put berms up.
Yeah.
The older houses don't, but
For sound attenuation?
or privacy or both.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're not putting those big sound walls on it, but that's interesting. So Would the city try to move them over to a conservancy or?
That's still to be determined, so,
That's really exciting.
the process still has to be determined for each individual parcel, because like designating them as a park, then makes them a park internally unless, it gets to be alienation of parkland, and then, but there's also the, you know, we don't want, under the next administration, for the next person to just say, you know, build it all. So, the assessor's office and the housing office and the planning office, and my office, mayor's office, are still figuring out that whole process of like, do we want the council to pass a resolution designating them? Is it just literally a code change in the assessor's office? Like, is it just a code change in the comptroller's office to say, okay, you're no longer paying taxes? Like, there's,
Or do
the
you have to
formalities
have
of it are still in development.
Or do you have to have like a deed restriction?
Right, do you need to have a deed restriction? Is it all gonna be managed by parks? Is it gonna be managed by DPW? Is it going to be not managed? Like, so there's details.
Gonna guess that 10-acre parcel near the business park was included in that discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be best off just going to the state. I don't know if the state wants to keep that.
Yeah, I mean, out of the 4 designations, I am created for it to be open space. It's a landlocked 10-acre parcel, that's like literally in the middle of like the Delaware forest.
With a trail network in place.
So the trail network is-
Yeah, you can get 2 ways down to Sojourner Church from there.
Oh, wow.
You two-
Well, what do you do? Drop in a parachute to get on the land?
Yep.
You can get there from the business park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The paths kind of go to, there's a utility easement.
Yeah.
From the last, where the last built portion of the business park is, and then you go in the woods from there. Some of it's Sojourner Truth, some of it's the business park, but you can get there one way or the
And then
other. Or from Fourth Avenue, not really get through that way.
I'm just curious, in these cases, if you do get it designated, then who's responsible for maintaining it?
Yeah, that's one of the questions.
Yeah.
Is it parks, is it DPW, is it the land trust, is
It's when I lived in Hurley, we were in the floodplain, and my neighbours on either side both got bought out by the federal program. It was given to the state, but and the houses were demolished, and just it was like really a good idea in some, because now you wouldn't have to pay any more flood insurance payouts. But then nobody maintained it, so
Yeah.
we were just surrounded by this sort of huge,
Yeah.
jungly mass of stuff. So I it's interesting to me how these things actually play out.
yeah.
Well,
And one of the other-
maintained now either.
Yeah, one of the other considerations on the table is for those particularly on the fringes of large tracts of land, where they're like in a neighborhood, but it's like house, open space, house, and then it's like a huge amount of open space, that we put it up for sale, but with the stipulation that we would get, like, we put it out for bid, but with the stipulation that priority would be given if the people are saying that they're going to keep it as open space, like if this neighbor wants to buy it or this neighbor wants to buy it, to keep it as open space, then you get the best of both worlds, which is you
Sure.
still get the taxes and it still remains as open space, but then you're kind of going on the word of that.
Yeah, because in our case, we weren't allowed to
Enforcement issue.
maintain or buy the properties because it was part of the federal program. So
Yeah.
it's just-
So-
I put together the early portfolio for the Kingston Land Trust through that program, the Catskill Remediation FEMA project. That's where we got a bunch
Right.
of properties from. It was like we just took out dollar bills and paid the county.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, it was great, it was a couple of widows
That's
in
what it
their
was.
seventies, so we watched them be flooded twice and it
Yeah.
was, very distressing. Wasn't great for us either, but so it was it was a great program, but it just hadn't been thought through all the way through.
Nowadays, they went to the county, then the county auctioned them off
Right,
with a like Forever Wild and open space restrictions and all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they literally went for like $1.
Right.
Kind of what we were dealing with. So it was really a land trust that we bought. It was set up for us, or maybe Pete's the land trust, or Woodstock, or, you know, Rhonda, so it's one of these groups.
Right.
Just other quick update is, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but, I have an intern for this semester. Who SUNY New Paltz and relevance here is that the intern is updating the tree inventory.
Oh, great.
And so this person is going around and literally going to each spot and saying, okay, the inventory says there was a tree here, or there wasn't a tree here, is there still, or is there not? But also, keeping track and making a database of all the new trees that have been planted since 2018. Both, any street tree, whether it was planted by us or planted by a private individual. And also a map of where tree gaps are. So this is how I'm going to start to get my numbers towards the 1,000 trees that
That's
need
what
to
I
get
was gonna
planted.
say, all right.
And the tree inventory gets updated.
Right, because that's where some of the pollinator stuff could probably interact with the 1,000 trees.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So she's doing, he is doing what Arbor, whatever did the company?
Arbor Pro.
Arbor Pro?
Yeah.
And do they have the same
He is a-
software?
Yep, so he's
Oh,
using the
nice.
same software and he's a GIS, geography student.
Oh, great.
Wow.
That's iTree, right? Partner?
I don't know.
Tree, yeah.
Well, he's using our existing GIS system. I think he's just updating the GIS system. I don't know if he's using any special software. But he's done by May 9th, so he is currently going ward by ward. Also, he's putting in 26 hours a week, which is like, what?
Wow.
That's great. Yeah,
That's great.
yes, that's
So-
really great.
Is he going to present at the tree commission or at our CAC or anything?
I don't have those arrangements, but I can absolutely make those arrangements. So that would mean that it would need to be his final presentation at school is May 9th. So. Is it May
I don't
9th?
want to put,
May 9th is the night of our meeting. Totally, May 9th. And that's also the tree commission meeting, May 9th.
that would be really, I just would want to
Yeah.
thank him more than anything
Mhm.
else.
All right, so we're gonna,
This is unpaid.
this is okay.
Does he get a car? I mean, is he on foot?
He gets a free yellow vest to borrow while he's here.
But I mean, mostly it has to walk, but,
Oh, he's using his own car.
oh my goodness.
Yep. He said it's twofold, he's learning the experience and he's losing this winter weight that he wanted. So yeah, I will ask him if he will present on May 9th and or tell him to as part of the internship.
And that would be great. It sounds so exciting. So, by the way, I just had a question, like, if it's a new tree, is it because it was empty before? If there was a tree pit or something and now there's a tree in it, so that's how he knows.
So he knows for a few things. We're also have given him every city construction plan that has happened since 2018 that trees have been planted.
Oh,
So
cool.
Franklin Street, Broadway,
Oh, then we need-
Pine Grove, anything, and he
And
needs
everything along the bike trail.
everything along the bike trail, all those, so he's getting that, and so he's learning how to read construction maps. Construction documents.
Yeah.
But also then ground truthing it to make sure like he goes there and the tree's still there.
Awesome.
Yeah. But it's also literally just like drive down the road, there's a tree, there's a tree, there's a tree, is it in the map? Or like, that was a tree, now it's a stump. Marty does that.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Well, that's great, because I don't feel like we are personally doing much about those 1,000 trees.
Let's start with what you know already, so this is what we're doing.
So when was was that one done in 2018?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I know, time flies.
Yeah, well, I guess we had a
Turn the lights
pandemic in the meantime. So that's really cool. All right. That was was a lot. Kingston Forward, citywide rezoning.
I did just, before Kevin digs into without anything, the CAC, I don't know if I circulated this in an email, but the CAC and Climate Smart were both identified as interested agencies in the seeker review for
Oh.
zoning. So if comments are submitted, it would be under the context of being an interested agency.
When is that due?
I'll tell you in a second, it's April 10th, yes. So it's on Engage Kingston, but it's April 10th. And it's, there's secret comments, it's, not like we're back to commenting on, round 4.x of the plan or
Right.
something like this, it's, this is secret. Like the David Gilmore portion
So
of the
Didn't
project.
we comment on David's stuff a while ago? And then, I know I did. When it first came out, when he. whatever
Oh,
he
on the
did originally.
scoping, yeah,
the
yeah, the
scoping,
scoping, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so do we, I'm sorry, I really lost track on this. Are we supposed to be doing anything?
I don't know if we have to, I pulled out, after the climate meeting, I pulled out from the SECRA, the renewable information, but I'm not sure it's even worth it for the Climate Smart Commission to, well, they didn't authorize it to begin with, so they're not gonna make comments, but I had told them to send their comments over here if they had them, if they're not sending them directly. And the one thing that came up was, which I've had discussions back and forth for a number of months with Melissa Ishella, our commissioner over there, that's been following Yorktown's solar codes. And they did it as a standalone code. They did not incorporate it into the zoning, and I believe the SECRA indicated that that would be acceptable. They indicated that we already had the stretch code and the permit, the expedited permit. And these were not part of the zoning, these were separate. So if we had another, something based on Yorktown, more or less based on Yorktown, we'd have to conform it to our facts and circumstances, it might be okay. Yeah, they didn't see an issue.
Why would we want to do that?
Maybe you wouldn't want to, maybe that would be something that Climate Smart wants to do.
But why would they want to do that?
Well, because the zoning doesn't, only covers small scale, home solar, like putting solar on your roof or something in the yard, or you're digging your own geothermal well. They don't get into municipal larger scale installations. They're calling that a public utility use.
Right.
And they didn't want to touch that, anything that's, looks like it might get PSC involved, they're like, no. So, hence, Yorktown did their own thing, separate from their zoning.
And is Yorktown a city?
Yorktown,
Yorktown is,
Probably,
is it township or?
well, the reason is like, I think, are we
It's not a
at
city,
risk
definitely not
of
a city.
losing a big open space parcel that like everyone's gonna be surprised about if they put solar on it? Is there, because that's why people are zoning solar, is to make sure that farmland and all of that, and so how much is a risk of that? Unless we're zoning rooftops or something.
meaning is it worth it?
Yeah. I mean, Kevin knows more.
Town of Yorktown, Westchester County, it's
Yeah.
the north end. North Dakota. Yeah, I could think of one parcel that could be used for solar. I don't know if it'd be appropriate or not. Because it might entail clear cutting.
Right,
That would be in Wilbur,
okay.
joining the Eddyville mine, which already has it. And from what I understand, they did do some clear cutting there, and there was a controversy as to whether they had to do clear cutting or not. But the developer, I think it was Cypress Creek, insisted that they did. I know Scenic Hudson did not want to contest it. They thought about it and stepped back. Nora Bougier called Jim Quigley, this town supervisor, and told him to just turn the panels to face the sun. It's that simple. Go up there, look at it, walk on the site. It's not rocket science. And he didn't want to, the developer wants to do what they want to do, or, that was it. So they did do some cutting. And they went through the planning board in Ulster and town board. This was several years ago.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that, but that's not that's in the town of Ulster, so.
Right.
You're saying there could be another. I mean, I
Well,
agree.
they
I think-
joined it. I don't think the property owner in Wilbur is actually looking at solar. I mean, the last I looked on the website, the person was calling for a golf course. Given the karst geology, that might be a new meaning to hole in one. Yeah. Whoops. Or water trap, yeah, Blue Water Cave, there we go. That's a different owner, it's Blue Water Cave, those are two different sites, but they join each other in Wilburn. No. But they've both been identified, I think, in the open space plan, so.
I see.
Right.
Yeah. Well. Okay, so I didn't think we would get off on this, but the point of that is, what does it have to do? It doesn't have anything to do with secret, right? For this plan? Having a solar ordinance or a renewables ordinance?
No, this was a climate
Yeah.
smart issue, but I went back and looked into the DGEIS and, just pulled up the word solar and saw what they had. And it wasn't a whole lot, and it wasn't a whole lot more than what was in the form-based code itself.
Mhm.
Although zoning is generally silent, and currently doesn't have standards regarding placements of photovoltaic technology or incentives for its establishment, there have been city actions outside of zoning. Right, which is what I just said about the unified permit and the
Yeah.
stretch code. So, yeah, this would be another thing. We don't have to do it. Melissa's looking at it.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with commenting on the secret situation. So
No, I think they'll reject it. They already have. I think
who's they?
Bartek, Dover Cole, probably David Gilmore.
Oh, I
Probably-
see.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think we have made that comment previously,
Right.
so,
okay,
but
so
it excluded it. And
So if
maybe
the-
they want to include it, and they said no.
if the comments are due the 10th,
Yeah.
and we have a meeting on April, I mean, we've already kind of missed it in terms of having a meeting, correct? We're gonna have a meeting really soon, April 11th,
The 11th, and they're
and the comments are due on the 10th.
closing on the 10th.
And is that the DEC or is that Dover Coil that closes it? Like, can you be late? So,
Well, it's before the city common council, I think they set the dates.
oh, I see,
They're the lead agency.
right. Well, I guess I could just say I can look at it, because otherwise I didn't even think about commenting. So you could just read the document and see if there's anything we need to say.
Yeah, the other issues that are pending still are with our common council issues such as short-term rentals, affordable housing, accessible dwelling units, all of that, and parking. And I know Tanya Garment and Michael Kudransky have been, having these meetings with some of the council members, and I haven't attended those meetings, but they've been involved with them. Yeah, we'll see what comes out of that. If parking is something we wanted to comment on, then we should probably reach out to Tanya and Michael, see where they're at with it, but I don't know that we do.
Well, the only thing is whether or not there's shared parking is okay or has to happen. All right. Yeah, we're having a meeting in very shortly. Again, so,
Yeah, but they've included the open space plan in the secret. A lot of issues that we brought up were already, they took the comments and, put them in, and it's in here.
so if we were listed as an interested party, how come we didn't get notification?
I asked if it was sent, so I got an email from Bartek that said, you've been included as an interested agency. I said, you who? You Julie Noble? You CAC? You Climate Smart? He said, it's been sent to CAC. He said he sent it to you. And that I was the one listed for Climate Smart.
When would they have sent it?
Weeks ago. A couple weeks ago.
Okay.
The interested agency is in the plan.
Let's see.
Sure, they do.
Oh, March 9th.
Oh, okay.
It just says, dear, hello. That's it, didn't make, it wasn't specific. I think, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
Especially if they don't use the subject.
well, it was, but, I could have gotten it because I'm on Engage Kingston. I mean, it says, I'm,
Even me, I said, well, what context am I getting this?
Right.
It says, hello, you are receiving this notice because you have been identified as being part of an
Right.
interested, or there's a form letter, basically. And it doesn't say
Right.
like, dear chair of the blah, blah, blah.
exactly, and that's why I didn't,
Okay, if you recall,
went over
early
my head.
on in this process, there was an EAF done, an environmental assessment form. And we couldn't find it. Don't know if anybody remembers that, but we couldn't find it. And the reason we couldn't find it was lost somewhere in the council documents, the meeting documents for whatever month that was. Wasn't sent out, or put on Engage Kingston. It was like a parallel process that nobody seemed to know about. And the council members, I'm not even sure they realized the significance of not making the EAF public.
Right,
And we put draft scoping comments in without seeing the EAF.
yeah, if
We
I
just
had
were
gotten
shooting in the
this,
dark. I mean, we shot pretty well in the dark, but because we've done it before, but it would have been better if we had the
yeah,
EAF.
I mean, they could have used snail mail, they could have addressed it individually
Yeah.
to all of us. They don't even list us in the letter, there's nothing. And I don't know, it's like setting a deadline for something, I don't know if you know this, but the same person told us we had to have all our comments in on a certain day. And then we sent them in and it says, I'm on vacation for 2 weeks. So,
So we kept making comments, right?
yeah.
Until that
I mean,
person
come
got back.
on, like, don't have people like working their butts off to meet a
Yeah,
deadline, it's false, and no one else is checking. All right, well, so I guess I'm just gonna look at it and see if there's any issues, and then anyone can comment, so if we don't get together, we could just comment individually, right? Okay. So that would be due, again, the day after,
For
yeah,
When is our next meeting?
April 11th.
it's in 2 weeks, right? I kind of went through and said, God, maybe we should have skipped March, but anyway, thank you all for coming.
But we could still decide to skip April.
Hmm.
Still decide to
could
skip
you-
April.
Yeah,
Could you give me some direction as to what you're reading and where
Oh,
it
yeah.
is?
okay.
And
I
I'll
can
take
forward
a visit too.
Okay, Kevin, you can explain.
What do you need? Where to find it?
Where to find it?
Okay,
It's on Engage Kingston. Let me get
So,
out of here.
that by law, you have to have a environmental impact statement when you do something like zoning. So usually you think about it as, you know, if you're building a building, and doing a big development, you know, something that is actually construction or development, but you still have to, we still have to do this for this kind of change.
So we're doing this.
So it's so the
I'm
city,
lost in all the
right.
acronyms.
so generic environmental impact statement. And it's, and it's in regards to the citywide form-based code. And the Common Council is what we call the lead agent. They are the people that have kind of put this environmental impact statement out, although they didn't write it, right? And there was a public hearing on the 23rd, and then comments are due April 10th. Ask me a question about what you don't understand, because I know.
I'll try finding it.
It's on,
It's on Engage Kingston.
yeah, Kingston /dash/forward. April 10th. Download it someplace on here. I did attend that meeting on March 23rd. I was on Zoom, I didn't actually show up for it. There were only 3 speakers. So it was over before it started almost. It's like I had somewhere to be that I had 7:30, and I was done by around 7, the whole meeting. And it started late. They were waiting for people. Somebody asked a question about property tax implications. If they start, putting corner stores, activating them, or accessory dwelling units, what are the tax implications on this? Nobody's talking about property taxes. So they were had those questions. Tanya showed up and she tried to address some of those property tax questions, and she didn't think they were going to be serious, but I really don't know. I think we have to look at a case example, see what they come back with, because the comment was made, and see what they come back with. And I forget what the third person's issue was. Could have been parking, but that didn't, it was short.
What happens after the comment period? What are the next steps? Does anyone know?
Yeah, I think it would, the Common Council as the lead agency will have to act on.
When they,
Yeah, they may make some changes on some of the housing aspects, short-term rentals, accessory dwelling units, and then the parking issue is another thing. I don't think they're gonna touch the open space.
Right.
I think that's done, so
But they can make, but do they have to declare? So do they accept the environmental impact statement or?
there's findings. Same
There's
way in
findings,
any, yeah, they do an FGEIS and then, and findings.
The final,
Yeah, it's right out of the secra,
Right.
cookbook, whatever they call that on the DEC website.
right? Okay, and then is there a time frame for them taking action?
Yeah, that's all designated in secret, 30 days, 60 days.
Yeah,
something
but
like
that's
that.
for the FGEIS, but is there a time frame for them making any changes to the actual citywide rezoning?
Oh, yeah, sure, that would be part of the findings. And then they would amend the, 3.0 draft to reflect whatever their findings are.
And then they vote.
Then they vote. Yeah. I don't think they have the timeline up there anymore. The timeline at this point is determined by secret.
Right,
And off the top of my head, I don't remember if it's 30 days or 60 days or whatever it is to look them up.
and SECRA's state environmental quality review. Okay, and that's the process that it follows. And as Kevin says, there is a book called The Secret Cookbook that you can read all about how this works.
Gives you all the dates, and the return dates of where they have to make a decision on.
All right,
And DGEIS is draft generic environmental impact statement. So that's what we're commenting on here. So they'll have an FGEIS, final generic environmental impact statement and findings.
Okay. I think.
The reason it's generic is
Yeah.
because it's a plan. It isn't like somebody's building something.
Right.
Right. They also use generic if it's in certain instances where it's a multi-phase plan.
Okay.
We've seen that before in Kingston. Yeah. And they also use it if they're doing a brownfield plan, and that becomes a draft generic environmental impact statement.
all right, thank you, Kevin. Okay, so right now we're on city plan review, which all of what we just talked about is on Engage Kingston. And do we have anything with Flatbush, Foxhall, or pedestrian bike plan? Nothing for Flatbush. What about pedestrian? Anything else happening?
Yes, April 13th is the close of comment. They've had the public meeting.
I missed the public meeting. So do we need to comment on that?
Well, they made a lot of changes after we met as a project advisory committee. And there's some sloppy text in there, here and there, that could be commented on, but generally the gist of it is okay. One of the sloppy texts probably doesn't pertain to here, it pertained to the Landmarks Commission, and it had to do with the Bluestone. They did something goofy with Bluestone. They designated Wilbur and Pankaki as priority areas for Bluestone. Wilbur and Pankaki don't have a whole lot of Bluestone left. They took Fair Street out. That I went, what happened to Fair Street? And, and then they mentioned the Friends of Historic Kingston, and they took Chestnut Street District out too, and they said because there's no walking tour for these areas from the Friends of Historic Kingston, but there is for Chestnut Street. So there's a bunch of minor inconsistencies. I mean, the gist of it is they want to maintain the Bluestone in the historic districts. but then they exclude Fair Street, which is inconsistent. You know,
That's
it's
really
it's
strange.
like just text inconsistencies. It's
So
not,
maybe a resident of
major.
Fair Street would want to comment on that?
yeah, you might want to look at it.
Yeah, can
Yeah,
you,
you might
okay.
want to look at it.
And it's due April 13th.
Right.
But is it consistent with what we do?
Well, there were other issues that they've corrected. They had the ONW designated as the ONW Rail Trail, or the Kingston Rail Trail, which is what the county designates it as. They had that one confused with the Catskill Mountain Railroad.
Who wrote it? I don't,
Barton Lejudas, who have done studies on the UND corridor. You know, that's the right hand and the left hand apparently don't talk in that office.
so is there anything that would affect us since you're the liaison to it for us?
Well, it's just a
And
question if
maybe-
you like the way they designated the priority intersections.
I don't even know what you mean.
Well, that's part of the plan, is designating priority intersections, which could be where somebody might get hit on their bicycle or run over.
Yeah, but what,
Right.
does that have anything to do with the CAC?
Well, we could, sure, it would affect the bike lanes on Broadway.
Well, what is it? What is a priority intersection?
Well, we'd have to read the plan and see how they define it.
But are they like changing the traffic pattern or putting lights in or?
No, they're making recommendations. Pretty much that's what it is. And they've been to the areas where people have been killed, and they're trying to make recommendations on that. It's kind of a lot of it. And then they were supporting the Green Line and the Empire State Trail. There was some discussion about right turns on red lights, and I don't know how that got resolved. I'd have to go through the plan and see what they did on that.
For vehicles or bikes?
Cars hitting people and bikes.
yeah.
There was an incident outside the Y recently.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I had made a comment that
Okay.
that should be a priority corner because, you know, I've noticed that I've had trouble crossing there,
Mhm.
even
was
with the
pretty
little push
confusing.
button things.
Yeah.
Are you pushing it this way or is it, which way is it going here? Yeah. So, that was a comment I made. John Grossballen made some kind of comment about the Five Corners and Wilbur Avenue, Green Hill, that area.
Mhm.
And he kind of went through it with a magnifying glass.
Okay. All right, well,
So did Kristen Wilson.
good. So that's great.
So we're not commenting on it?
Well, the thing is, look, I gotta get a heads up sooner than 2 weeks before. It's just, I'm not following this stuff. I don't have it on my calendar or anything, so, I don't know what to say. I mean, we can also, the same thing, we can look through it and decide on the 11th whether or not, we have comments ready by the 11th. And then I'd be fine to do, I'm fine with that. I have, there's only 2 weekends before that, between now and then. But I'm definitely, I'm interested in that. And, that's why we've been following it, I think. Okay,
So should I remove Flatbush Foxwell from the agenda? And just put it back when there's something that goes.
Sure, okay, I need to follow up.
all right. Neonicotide pesticides, anything going on, or should we take that off?
Something could still be going on. But it's about where it was the last time we discussed it. It's been passed by the assembly and it's stuck in a committee in the Senate. But best I can get from the website.
The,
Information.
yeah, the Senate historically has been pretty hard at getting things passed, like, you know, they'll sit on it, and it'll be like passing the assembly, and then 6 years later, they're still waiting for the Senate to pass it. We do have, you know, Shrestha is now our, no, she's not our senator. Sorry, Hinchey is our senator. So, and
So
I,
should I keep this on here or take it off?
if there's no reason to write Hinchey again, then there's no reason to keep it on except for the.
Good.
Pace University Resilience Assessment, all right. Any
That's
meetings?
on for tomorrow.
Meeting tomorrow.
That's in person here?
It's hybrid.
Okay, that's another one that I
Link.
didn't see in my email.
I don't think I saw the link. Is it the same as, it might have come through and I just.
And-
lost it.
Did,
Yeah,
Anita, did you get that
it was
announcement?
sent to everyone
Yeah,
and it's got the link in it. It's also got a copy of one. You can choose either one.
yeah,
What,
got it on my calendar.
say, I don't
Oh,
have.
it's tomorrow at 1.
Yeah, I know that, but when was that sent?
I have no idea. Probably the day after the last, probably the day after the last one.
Oh, okay, that's probably, I'll have to look,
Hmm.
otherwise I'll show up.
Who sent it?
Who sent it me?
You did. And it's here or it's,
Probably
On Zoom.
1 or Zoom.
already, so nothing to report really.
No.
And then anything with overhead utility cables? No, sure.
Should I take that off or keep it on there?
You can take it, I mean, it's definitely still top of mind, but I'll let you know if there's anything to report on. It's a very long-term battle.
Yes. Open issue discussion, I feel like we had that with the pollinator gardens. And the trees, so. Any,
The New York, New Jersey hats,
right, where is that?
it's due on Friday. I reached out, I'm gonna check the email, see if they ever got back. I think they did, nope. Jen Benson had suggested that we advocate for funding from the Army Corps
Funding from the Army Corps for,
for local initiatives for sea level rise and flooding.
do we have a pond out or something?
They may be able to do it through tier 2 of the New York, New Jersey hats, because they're not really doing anything here. Everything's down in New York for the most part. I did notice that there were some impacts in the lower Hudson, like they had Piermont listed, so Jen and Emily Vale had suggested I speak, and Jess Corman, they also suggested I speak to Klaus Jacobs from Piermont. So I tried to reach Klaus, but he hasn't gotten back to me. They also suggested I get in touch with Germantown, which I did, but they haven't gotten back to me either. So I don't know if they're making comments or not. I think Piermont's got an issue. We're sort of left out of the action, even though we're in the project study area. The current initiative doesn't include any actions here. So that sort of leaves us as if we were in the no action alternative. Leaves us where we would be otherwise. So that was why Jen had said, we'll ask them for some money then. And I was also gonna ask them to review the modeling to make sure that there are no induced flooding impacts from what they're doing downstream, downriver rather. With respect to sediment, salinity, habitat.
Is Riverkeeper anyone asking the same thing? So there's.
No, Riverkeeper, they just wanna, they just want shore-based solutions.
So what does that mean? I mean, that doesn't.
They don't want storm barriers, they oppose storm barriers. And one of the people that's been involved with the New York Sea grant supports storm barriers.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
he is an outlier. Okay, he's an
You
outlier.
mean Malcolm from.
Yeah, he's an outlier. So, there's people that believe in, Yeti and Sasquatch.
What-
Okay, so
Yeah,
I mean-
but this guy's a PhD.
it doesn't
you know,
matter. He can
yeah.
have his opinion. It's okay. You just have to remember that, it's like climate change. There's like all these people and then there's a few little outliers. So the thing is that I have just learned tonight that there are 3 things that we need to comment on yesterday. And so if we are going to comment on something, kind of have it ahead of time.
Yeah, I
We
have
gotta read
this
the
done.
word.
I have this done unless Klaus or the Germantown people come in with a comment at the last.
So are you going to sign it yourself?
You want to authorize me to, I will.
But we haven't even looked at it. You haven't sent me
I
anything.
told you what it is though. What it is additional modeling
Yeah,
and
but
funding. That's it. It's like 2 sentences. It's not a big deal. It's been the same 2 sentences since January. It's not a big deal. If you don't want to do it, I'll do it myself. If the board doesn't want to do that, then I think somebody should send something in. So,
So is there an issue that the last 6 weeks that, that we couldn't have worked on this?
I have plenty of issues. I'm like up to my eyeballs in tax stuff, like with complicated, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
I was
so
just
what-
working on the secret thing, looking at that. I have Tanya giving me comments about parking for the zone.
Okay, well, you know what? I
Ted's calling
understand.
me every other day with the land trust with some kind of initiative. No,
I understand.
yeah.
No, the thing is
And then
that
I'm
like,
running a business.
I understand we're all really busy.
Right.
We're all really busy and these deadlines are getting past me.
Well, it
And,
wasn't getting past me. I have, my 2 sentences,
but
my
if
2
you
cents
want
worth.
the board to act, the commission to, the Conservation Advisory Council to act, we have to be more organized. We have to be communicated. We have to have a communication. I would have been happy to react to a letter or help you write it, but I don't have,
I'll send you the text and you
But-
take a look at it. If you don't like it, I'll send it myself,
well, the thing is, that you're asking us to do something and,
Well, if you're gonna wait for the meeting, I don't wanna be like doing stuff.
but we haven't ever done that
in
in
between
the,
meetings.
so where's the letter? We have
There's no
never done
letter.
it this
It's
way.
like 2 sentences. It's a final, but it's under. It's over here. It's in here.
All right, so how do people feel about giving Kevin and I, authority to finish up and make a comment by Friday? Which I'm not even here on Friday, so, because otherwise I think he should do it as an individual. And, I'm sorry, because we could have asked the, this organization that Jess and Emily are leading, we could have asked everyone in that group.
They can't do it.
They can't, but
No, they
all the
can't.
members can. All the
Yeah,
members
and they
get,
recommended that I get a hold
Yeah,
of
but-
Klaus and get a hold of the. people
no,
in
but there
Germantown.
could have
That's what
been
they
a
said.
general letter to everyone saying, are you in and out on this?
They didn't want to do it. That
But-
isn't what they recommended.
But we have their emails, we could do it
No, I
ourselves.
don't have their email. I didn't have Klaus's email.
Well, why didn't
The
you-
last email that I have for the flood resiliency network is from 2020,
Okay,
and
just,
it did not include Klaus.
his address is at Vermont Board,
Yeah.
and I don't even know how well he's doing, so,
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean,
that's
you'd be
another-
better off.
Another question. They have different issues as well down there. They're
But there's other
more
people that you
impacted.
can reach out to besides Clubs that are involved in Piermont, so.
That wasn't what was recommended to me. I mean,
By certain people, right?
well,
Yeah,
Emily
so,
Dale, Jess Cronin, and Jen Benson.
Kevin, Piermont Marsh is a reserve site that I worked at for 18 years. And we worked on flooding studies and everything else, and we had all this intervention in Piermont. So I happen to know other people, okay? I just didn't know you needed contacts. Okay, I know those people,
All right,
so
well,
I just,
before you get involved with Piermont too much, they have other issues under the.
it doesn't matter, it's just,
They, the project affects them more than, the modeling showed that.
I
the project
understand,
affects them
but
more than. it
if you're
affects us.
complaining that you couldn't get a hold of someone, I'm just
I'm
telling
not too
you.
worried about Klaus. It'd be nice if he did respond, but if he
All right,
doesn't.
never mind.
He has other
You know what?
issues.
I can't deal with this by Friday. So I'm gonna vote against us sending a letter
Okay.
because
Do
I
whatever
just
you want.
can't. No, it's not that. I'm just saying that I'm really sorry, but we had lead time. I didn't know how serious this
I've
was.
reported on this every month. I've been going to these meetings for 5 years, except for.
I know
the
you're
hiatus.
very dedicated, you're very
Yeah.
interested, but,
All right, you know, do whatever you want.
but, no, that's,
It's okay.
no. I just, I'm sorry. maybe I-
I'm not
maybe
gonna
I
argue with
shouldn't-
you. You do what you want.
Pardon?
I'm not gonna argue with you. Do what you want.
But you're saying I should do what I want.
Yeah, do what you want.
Okay,
Exactly.
all right. So let's have a vote about whether or not we want to have Kevin write this letter in and represent the CAC or not. Okay, or if he should do it as an individual.
Well, he's the one who's been following
Yes,
closely.
I vote that we allow him to speak for the CDC.
all right. Okay, all right. So do we have to have a motion or do we just vote?
That should be in the form of a
should-
motion.
Should
Okay,
be
I
enough.
motion that we allow Kevin to speak for the CAC in this matter.
I need a second to that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion. And vote.
Right?
Okay, I'm gonna abstain.
I'll abstain too.
All right, so it
Three.
passes.
Tells on here.
Mhm.
Oh, 3-2. Who's here?
It's a majority.
Okay,
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you, and if you want anyone to proofread it, please send
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
out
I
to
will,
people.
just the front.
All right, so that was basically under communications. Announcement and events, again, was in the minutes last time. registration is open for the Hudson River Environmental Society meeting at Millbrook. And that's the only, and then the Earth Fair is May 15th. And anything else from anyone else? Okay. All right. Complete Streets.
The last meeting was pretty much entirely Chief Titty talking to them about bike safety and traffic lights.
By the way, the chronogram last month, whatever, had a big article on bike safety, but they totally concentrated on Kingston, for good or bad. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Kevin, planning board.
There wasn't much there. There was the last, they met the last week, and the only thing I saw on the agenda was a release, a partial bond release, I think, for Hutton Brickyard. And there was nothing about the new hotel operator brought in the meeting.
Does the
bond
planning
release.
board act on that?
Only if they have a site plan change. So apparently there's no site plan change,
They
or if
just
there
announced
is.
it's reopening.
Yeah, they just announced it, yeah.
What's a bond release?
Completion bond that the planning board requires sometimes on different projects, so that the developer completes the project, doesn't
Oh,
you.
right.
So
So
that's,
that's,
I think they've gotten stricter with that since the Irish Center.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So they take the bond if it doesn't get finished.
Right, they have to come up with a bond, yeah, bonding company, what have you.
Okay, all right, I missed the public safety liaison meeting, the public safety meeting. And we had hoped that Michelle had been here, but we had the wrong time. So that was the 22nd. So sorry about that. Let me see, Climate Smart was also the 22nd, right?
Yes. Here.
They don't work faster if you do that. In fact, they actually work slow.
Okay, here we are, March 22nd. Repair Cafe is going to be back on April 8th, possibly at the library. Melissa was still having some discussions, but it looks like it's going to be at the library April 8th. There's a lot of discussion about Earth Fair. I don't know how, in the interest of time, how much, no.
That's okay.
Okay, there was a lot of discussion, and there's been a lot of emails back and forth subsequent to that meeting about the Earth Fair and what to do with it. And who's going to be doing what, and volunteering, and tabling, and all of that. That was something interesting, and it's really belonged under social media policy, but Melissa was reviewing the metrics from the Facebook page. And there were, toward with respect to outreach. I don't know if that interests us, but it's an interesting discussion at that meeting. There
Well,
was,
would you, I guess I can just ask Melissa. I still get emails because I'm still on that Facebook page and I haven't been on the Climate Start
You get emails from who?
from Facebook. I get,
Oh, you.
I get
you-
notification from,
You to be removed as administrator of the Climate Smart Museum.
yes, that's what I want. So,
Gotcha.
Ellie discussed the city fleet and EV availability, try saying that 3 times fast. And she mentioned that the procurement policy is complex and she's, been having some difficulty getting certain vehicles, trucks, for example. I think you mentioned the Prince Street charging station is now up and running,
yeah,
or at least it's installed, will go live shortly. So I don't know if it's up and, is it up and running?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. So it's to go live
It's been
shortly.
expected, it's just not activated yet.
Yeah, and level 3 charging stations may be installed going forward, contingent on funding. We reviewed the zoning, which was, we did that here, we don't
right.
cover that again. The bike share legislation was reviewed.
Who's doing the bike share? Is that Livewell?
Okay.
You are?
And John Grosswell appeared at one of the last meetings at Laws and Rules. And his capacity as the Complete Streets Advisory Chair. Supposed to be on Laws and Rules in April, and a New Paltz bike share rep is expected to attend. There was a lot of discussion about dock systems and geofencing, and the pros and cons of dock systems, and putting advertising on dock systems. There's a lot of dock system discussion, so.
Well, part of the issue is data sharing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That seems
Sure.
quite a big issue.
Let's see. So the community plan, the organics plan, that is, wait, that was yesterday, wasn't it?
No,
No?
you postponed.
I thought I missed it. If it was
You
here.
didn't miss it.
Do we have a new date?
Not a new date for the public meeting, but the plan is to roll it out by June.
Okay.
Everything by June.
Okay.
Whoa,
I know.
And there wasn't too much else on this. No,
so by organics, you mean that there would be curbside pickup?
Not in phase 1.
Oh.
Phase 1 would be drop off site, will be
Oh,
drop off
drop off.
site.
yeah, phase 1 is drop off at approximately 15 sites starting in the spring. Oh, that could be
Wow.
later now. Some. Could be.
Spring goes till the 21st of June, right?
Yeah, All right, so, yeah, in other words, am I amending the minutes before I even send them out? Or just let this
You
go
can
from what
say-
we discussed at that meeting?
Can't amend the minutes, that's what was said, right?
No, that's just said spring. The second phase would be curbside for pickup for businesses, and phase 3 is curbside for all residents, voluntary and free. And March 28th is canceled, as we just discovered.
Is this on Livewell, or not Livewell, Engage Kingston?
Not yet. The page is under development. We have a few more logistics to solidify before we can even go public, really.
Right. Well, that's really great.
Such a good, including DC permitting.
Yeah.
I think that covers it for climate smart. Oh, one last thing, refrigerants, a project advisory committee is needed. But I think you have people from the, we have people from the other commission on that.
And is
case.
that for just the municipal buildings?
Municipal building, municipal fleet, and also citywide collection, curbside collection.
Except
but
for,
not the actual buildings of
Municipal building, right, not residential buildings.
Okay. Oh, I did want to comment, did anyone else see it in the newspaper that the town of Ulster is sending back their EVs because they were upset about them? Yeah, so anyway. I just felt sad about that, I guess. And I'm not sure if there's, I think they're gonna sell it. And then go back to,
Oh my gosh.
and it might have been the brand, maybe, that they couldn't get them repaired or something. So
There's been a bunch of recalls on new cars.
there, yeah, well, these probably were cars, yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know where I read it. Did I read it in Hudson Valley One? Did I read it in Freeman, which is difficult to read? Anyway, I just, since there are. Oh, okay, so let me see. Ted is at the Ulster County Environmental Management Council. And yeah, tree commission.
They have a lot of, does this tree come down or just get pruned? And who does pruning and where are the electrical lines kind of decisions. But there will be a tree planting on Arbor Day at the Rondout Community Center. And the Garden Club's Memorial Tree Fund is providing a tree.
Oh, good.
So they're at the moment looking at a list of possible trees. Something different than we've already got everywhere. Because they've got a pretty good amount of space. So they're gonna try and get a pretty big tree.
Is Arbor Day April 27th?
I'm sorry, I don't have that written down, so I do not remember it.
Cool.
Don't know. Probably a quick way to find out though.
I can let you know.
Do you
but
know if they ever commented on the form-based code?
I don't think so. I will go. Being half a block.
You can't very looking just in red.
just, yeah, slide down the hill.
There's a town
Yeah, so you can put in.
And they're getting the kids involved in doing some projects from the community center.
Great.
So there will be a tree planting.
So there will be a tree planting. I can let you guys know.
I'll do it when I get back to the
Yeah. That's what I would do.
I think it's later in the afternoon so the kids can be there. Like 3:30 or something, but let me go check on that. I'll send you. Send you.
Did I miss complete streets?
No, I just said that there was, sorry, that Chief Tinty was a guest speaker and just talked at length about bike safety.
Okay.
So I don't think really, I mean, obviously it's important, but it's not really our area.
Yeah, just as that unsafe streets means people won't ride their bike. And that's why-
Sure,
Yeah.
it's good to focus on the
Okay. Anything else? So we're meeting in 2 weeks right now. And Julie's gonna invite the intern for the meeting on May 9th.
Right.
And,
I'm not gonna be able to be here on May.
okay.
I've got this new job and I'm doing quite a lot of business travel, so I apologise, I may have to resign. Sorry. Okay. I feel bad
You
because,
just
you
have to
know.
find 3 new members.
Okay. Please. No, I, I've committed, I just don't, I don't want to mess you guys around.
Yeah.
Like, with the quorum or
And then also then I volunteered to look at some of us are looking at the DGEIS
Yeah.
and we're, we don't have anything to do with the community present place. We don't have to do anything with that. Helen's gonna look into electric yard stuff
Yeah,
and the earth care.
yeah.
And Anita's gonna look into the
What's previously
Pollinator
happened.
gardens.
Yeah, you're gonna help me with
Sorry.
pollinator garden. And Brianna.
Kevin's gonna write a New York, New Jersey hats. And is there one other thing besides New York that has a quick deadline?
The bicycle master plan.
Bicycle
Yes, we
master.
have
Oh,
a-
I'll look into the, so Kevin, when you say Fair Street's been included, do you excluded, do you mean from the whole plan?
Which is.
Sorry,
The Bluestone.
the pedestrian bike master plan, you said Fair Street's been excluded, is that just from the Bluestone?
So it's a map, figure 25 as a map, and I dropped it out. I believe it may be mentioned in the text someplace.
So do you mean that it's being excluded from the plan completely or just from the Bluestone part of the plan?
It was excluded as an area of priority
For Bluestone,
for
or for,
Bluestone.
but they're still gonna
Right.
put bike
And
lanes.
then I commented at the meeting and sent written comments, and Kristen read them the code at the meeting, where it says historic district, you're not following.
Which
city
is Fair
code.
Street, yeah.
Kristen Wilson did that,
Right.
and they did something of a U-turn on it, but I don't know if it's.
Okay, I'll check it,
it's a
I'll
little
check it.
sloppy. It could be
Okay,
cleaned
thank
up.
you.
Just wrote down the wrong thing. DGIS. And that, both of them are due in 2 weeks, basically.
More or less, yeah.
All right.
I'm into adjourn.
Okay, 7:40.
Second? Brianna? You want to second it? Yes. Okay. All in favor?